So did this week's episode of Alien Earth disappoint, or is it everything we hoped it would be? I think you're going to be surprised at, I don't necessarily know if it landed on either side of the fence. Let's get into it. What's up, my know-it-alls? Okay, so the finale for this season of Alien Earth has just dropped. And funny enough, this has been arguably one of the most fun seasons of television I think I've personally experienced in a very long time. Not because it's like head and shoulders the greatest thing ever, but it understood the assignment, it knew what it wanted to be, and ultimately has ended in a way that I find very satisfying. Now, are they potentially going off book in terms of what the future holds canonically? I suppose, but I don't necessarily know that it matters. So, this episode breaks a lot of rules for a finale. And by that I mean, last week's episode was good, but I don't necessarily know that I felt there was a clear climax for the season there. So, when the penultimate episode doesn't have that, then that means it's setting up bigger things to happen. The problem is, I don't necessarily know how much bigger I think the events were in this episode in terms of how they were presented. Meaning, it wasn't an unsatisfying ending, but I also don't know that I was that surprised by how it ended. I think I was more surprised by the fact that a lot of the things that we're seeing seemingly have happened within a vacuum. And what I mean by that is, at one point, you see the Yutani forces arriving, but at the same time, the kids have pretty much taken over the island. Spoilers. Coming to find out, this head of security guy is actually is the very first synth that the boy had built. Apparently the boy is the one who either invented synths or is very much working very hard with them. Kirsch seemingly has his back broken. Morrow is taken captive. Everyone's taken down on some level. And the kids have pretty much come into their own. Not that I thought they weren't going to. I think there's like a brief moment or a blip where Slightly is questioned about what, or questions rather what they're doing and whether they should be doing it or not.
We did a bad thing slightly.
It's not our fault. They made us.
It's not our fault.
And Wendy more or less is like, I'm nobody. Curly's decided to go by the name Jane now because Wendy told her the story about how Peter kidnapped Wendy's daughter. It's this whole thing.
Curly, you get the soldiers.
Jane. My name's Jane.
You find out the boy genius is legitimately a boy genius. Like, his backstory is tragic. No lie.
So the boy, me, built a machine. My first synth, I was 6. I made him, a grown man. Yeah, one day my daddy came home from the factory, and there was my synth, and that was the end of Daddy.
So at 6 years old, he has built his chaperone, who gets to be the figurehead, and that's the head of his security. We also figure out that Wendy apparently can control anything on the network, which includes Mr. Head of Security. So this whole thing is pretty much setting itself up. Wendy has been sending the alien creature to be her hound. Oh yeah, it's this whole thing. It only goes in one direction. Like this whole thing goes downhill. That's why I said, normally when you have an episode like this that doesn't really resolve anything, not resolve anything, but like doesn't feel like there's a big like a big climax of any kind, that means the penultimate episode would have filled in that gap. I went back and I watched the penultimate episode just kind of make sure that I understand sort of what I'm talking about. So again, this breaks a lot of the rules of storytelling. However, it does it in a very engaging way. Not to mention the fact that clearly we're going into season 2 with a purpose. So this is what I kind of call the comic book ending. Why do I call it the comic book ending? Comic books perpetually live in what's called an Act 2. And so this has ended, and that means the next season is going to be an Act 2. Everything that we've seen so far You have several ways that stories break down. Episodes have to have a beginning, a middle, and end. Seasons have to have a beginning, middle, and an end. And at this point, that's where we are. But you still need to be able to lead into the next season effectively without being just a restart. And so, yeah, I feel like in that regard, I'm excited to see what they're going to do next season, because I feel like they have the ability to really build some groundbreaking serialized entertainment. And hopefully, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Comment below, let me know. I know that I wish there was a longer thing to tell, because there's not really much more to tell than that. Wendy has her moment. She decides that Hermit, she's going to leave Hermit. And at one point, that's when Slightly steps in and is like, he's one of us. And I thought that was a very interesting outlook, especially because at the very end of this thing, Wendy declares, what's next? Now they rule. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm excited. I know that this is the first time in a long time that I feel like a season has ended in such a way that I'm genuinely excited for what comes next. Hopefully they ride that wave, and FX continues to do a really good job through the institution of Hulu and Fox, whatever else they're doing. And hopefully we don't get them. I don't want to see them meddling. Keep on this trajectory. Keep taking us to these places. This is doing a wonderful, this is like the epitome of what I feel like rehashing something should be. Tell us something new and original. If Star Wars did this, and Andor kind of does that, but I feel like if we were just like, hey, let's go see this, let's go see that. John Boyega recently talked about exactly that, and I'm going to bring that up on the Nerd Fights this week, so make sure you check that out. But yeah, I'm excited. Don't forget to really go back, check out all the rest of these episodes. Listen to sort of the analysis we've been doing. And I think you're going to find that I do my best to be as good at communicating those things as possible from not only a commentary standpoint, because here's the thing, there's an awful lot of YouTube channels out there that are doing exactly what I'm doing. Few of them come from the place that I come from. Having been in film and TV on the development side, having had a pilot, having talked to Netflix, having had a script on the desk of the president of Warner Brothers, I feel like I come at these things from a very unique perspective, and hopefully you find some value in that. I do intend to start changing a few things up, and we're going to give some more announcements about that. By that, I just mean I'm going to start doing some long form work. We have a podcast that just started called Knowing More. But all that being said, so there you go. Now you know. And if knowing's half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. What's an all index for this, the finale of season 1? Okay, look. It is good. You absolutely should see it. Don't miss it. And it's definitely important, and it's going to definitely matter. However, from an individual storytelling standpoint, it was kind of an unsatisfactory or unsatisfying finale. Though overall it didn't commit any sins, I feel like at the end of the day, I expected a bigger finale. And it didn't really give me that. Would love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Comment below. Let me know if you were expecting sort of a bigger bang for the ending than we got this season. But are you excited for the sort of trail they're blazing moving forward? I know I am. All right, guys, my ultimate score, based on all that, is an 8 out of 10.
No.
I hope you've enjoyed the season. I know that I have. Cannot wait to talk more about it with you next season. I might go back and do some other reviews. Like I might redo my Alien Romulus, and I may do some of the other Alien stuff. I'm feeling kind of alien-y, and I know Predator's got some things coming out too that I'm excited for. All right, guys, we'll talk to you again real soon. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. Bye, guys.